Hello, everybody. My name is Elie, and I'm here today for the math lesson. Just give you the title. The title of my lesson is Math: How to Solve Linear Equation. So, let me post it right now on the screen, so therefore all of you can follow with me. And there it is. So, all right. If you need a pen or pencil, make everything get ready, and I'm ready to start right now. As we are scheduled today at 2 p.m., this is a lesson for math. And again, my name is Elie, and the lesson for today we're gonna do is you will learn how to solve multi-step linear equation, and by using inverse operations. All right, let's start by definition. Linear equation. What is the definition or meaning of that? Um, Linear equation mean, as you can read on the screen, is any equation such that the sum of two solutions is a solution. So that means anytime that you see you have something equal something, it's called an equation. And one, as you can see on the screen, there's a hint. The hint say to be linear, the powers of the variables have to be 1, or variables that mean, if we look on the first one, looking on the first one, the variable on the first one is x. We see the power of x is 1. And also we have the variable y. Also over there you have the variable y. And go on the second one, we have multi-variables. We have b and a, but each of their powers is only 1. So every time we see such case, we see something equal 3x plus 2 equal 5. There's an equal sign. And everything power, it's either a number. The number can be a whole number or a fraction. It doesn't really matter. But the main thing, or the most important thing, is the variable, any letter, such as A, B, C, D, any symbol or any letter, has a power, and the power of this variable is 1. So that's mean that's a linear equation. I hope so far so good. All right, let's go on the next page. Now, how to solve linear equation? We have multi-steps. These are the three basic steps to solve for a linear equation. Uh, Pardon me, I'm gonna make sure that everybody can read clearly on the screen. There we go. So the first step is get all of the terms with the variable you are solving for on one side of the equal sign, and all other terms on the other side of the equal sign. Alright, let me repeat again. To solve for a linear equation, first and foremost, get all of the terms with the variable you are solving for on one side of the equal sign, and all other terms on the other side of the equal sign. We're gonna do my practice, so therefore it become easy for you. So far, just word, just trying to catch with me. Don't worry, we're gonna go by practice, and you're gonna see how easy it is. Now, the second part is factor out the variable you are solving for. After move them, all of them on one side, now we're gonna factor out all of them on the side that we move into. Last but not least, divide both sides of the equal sign by the variable's coefficient. You're gonna see later on, I'm gonna prove to you example what does the word coefficient mean, so therefore you get connected to that. But so far you know about the variables, such as if I go on the previous slide when I was showing you, x is the variable, like I say. 3 is a word they call coefficient. Coefficient is whatever the variable is multiplied by. 3x, that means 3 is the coefficient, x is the variable. 5y, 5 is the coefficient, y is the variable. 8b, 8 is the coefficient, b is the variable. 5b, 5 is the coefficient, and b is the variable. Alright, so far so good? That's awesome. So we divide both sides by the equal sign. Divide both sides of the equal sign by the variable's coefficient. Alright, all this was just a lecture. Now let's go to practice. Okay, so therefore you will see, and I'm going to use the same language, the same words that I was using on the definition. So therefore to make it clear and simple for all of you. Because today I want to make sure that my goal is make sure that after watching this video, so today you know how to solve linear equation. First example, which is solve for 5x equals 60. Other word, solve for x when 5x equal to 60. Let's go back, refresh our mind on the multi-step. First, get all the term with the variable we are solving for on one side. On the example, we have 5x equal to 60, which means x is already by itself on one side. And the second thing they say, everything is on the other side. We have 60 already on the other side by itself. So the first is check mark. Okay? Second part they say is factor out the variable we are solving for. There is not a variable. The variable is what only once, so we don't have to factor nothing. So we just leave it like that. 5x equal to 60. Now, it seems that the only part we left is the third. Divide both sides of the equal sign by the coefficient. So that's what we're going to apply. Now, as we mentioned, if you remember, when I was saving, we say, let me go back again on the previous one. 3x plus 2. 3 was the coefficient. Okay? So, 3x plus 2, 3 is the coefficient. So, on that one, 5x equals 60. If I'm asking the question, what is the coefficient? The coefficient is 5. If you say 5 on your mind, then you're totally correct. If you say 5 as your answer, that's correct. 5 is the answer. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna divide both sides by the coefficient, which is 5. So I'm gonna put it there for you so you can see. So divide. There we go. So divide both sides by 5. Divide, that means you put a bar line under, divide by 5. And now the last is this calculation. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So one thing to know, when we say solve for x, they also mean the same as solve for 1x. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, so 1x is the same as x. So if I say solve for x, I mean solve for 1x. Okay, so that's what pretty much happened. So we divide by 5, we have 1x, which means the same as x. So therefore, that means we have x. So our final step or final answer gonna be, after divide both sides by 5, now we have the last x equal to 12. If you do this calculation. And that's it. So that's the first equation. I'm giving you like a few seconds to read it by yourself. and I'm gonna pass to the second example. Just read it by yourself about how to solve this simple equation. All right? Okay, good. Now let's move to the next example. 3x plus 2 equal to 0. Solve for that. Now, remember again, I might have to go back to the same rules. What does the rule say again? The rule say first and foremost, we're gonna make sure that all variables is on one side. Get all the term we are solving for on one side, and everything's want to make sure I move this over there a little bit. There you go. So get all the terms we're solving for on one side and all the other terms on the other side. Let's go back to this. Now go back to my example. So 3x plus 2 equal to 0. So now does everything that we are solving for is on one side? What are we solving for? We're solving for x. Do we have x, all the x's by themselves on one side? Not quietly, because this is 3x, this is 2. 2 is not related with x. So the first rule is not checking yet. So we have to make sure we're going to apply that. We're going to first apply move 2 on the other side. So how do we move something from left to right? This is the basic. When you are moving from anything from left to right, the first thing always do is use the reciprocal sign, which means we have 3x plus 2, so we're gonna subtract both sides by 2. Minus 2 on both sides. Let me say a little bit. Minus 2 on both sides. So now, if you can read, what will the new equation become right now? We remove this to left from right to left. Again, what did I say? When you remove anything from left to right, you either add or subtract. Okay? So we either add or subtract. So now, what we have right now, our new answer is going to be 3x. This cancel out, and we have equal, and this would be negative 2. Now, let's just give us a hint. Does this seem familiar to the first one we are solving? If you say yes in your mind, then you're totally right. This is exactly as the first equation we're solving. Let's go back on the first example. Just take a quick look on the first example. 5x equal to 60 is the same rule as 3x equal to negative 2. So what is the process for 5x is equal to 60? Divide both sides by 5 and find x equal to 12. And on that one, what I'm going to divide both sides by? I'm going to divide both sides by the coefficient, which is 3. If you said 3 on your mind, then yes, you're totally right. Divide both sides by 3. So divide both sides by 3, and then we're going to have our final answer. And let me just confirm it for you and show you on the screen. So this would be like that. 3x equal to negative 2. And we divide both sides by 3. And we have a final answer. X equal to negative 2 over 3. You can leave it as a fraction, or you can do it as a decimal. It doesn't really matter. So same thing as before. I give you a few seconds to read it on your own and find the connection between that and the rules. If you remember the rule, that's the rule. Get all the term on one side, factor the variable we're solving for, divide both sides by the coefficient. Let's go back to the example. Now I'll take a few seconds, read it, and then after that we're gonna pass to the next example. Okay, so let's go to the third example. Now, third example say 6y plus 9 equal to 8y minus 5. If someone would then say 6y plus 9 equal to 8y negative 5, that sounds closely correct. In other words, is acceptable. But the perfect way to read that is 6y plus 9 is equal to 8y minus 5. If you read negative 5, if it was first like that, negative 5 plus 8y. You should read like that, 6y plus 9 equal to negative 5 plus 8y, then that would be correct. But if you read 6y plus 9 is equal to, and I put the 5 after, that would basically read 8y minus 5. Okay? But we're not going to go too much to that because our goal today is to know how to solve for the equation. I'm pretty much sure you already passed this level. So let's go to our goal today, which is solving the equation, linear equation. So first, what does the first rule say again? Because I want to make sure you cap the rule. Refresh my mind. What is the first rule? Make sure that all the variable we are solving for on one side and everything else on the other side. So we are solving for which variable? Y. Do we have all the y's on one side? It doesn't seem so. We don't have all the y's on one side. We don't have all the y's on one side. So we can have to remove all the y's on one side. So that's the first thing we're gonna do. I'm gonna make sure I remove and put all the y's on one side. But how do I remove? So to remove, you use the reciprocal. Again, you either add or subtract. Do not divide, do not multiply. So doesn't matter. We have two options. We can move from the y's, we can move all the y's on the right and all numbers on the left, or we can move all the y's on the left and numbers on the right. The answer will still be the same. Let me repeat again. Moving all the y's on the left and numbers on the right, or all the y's on the right and numbers on the left, the answer will be the same. Okay? So I decide to move the y's on the right and move the numbers on the left side. So what do? I remove the 6y and put it there. So I subtract 6y's on both sides. Okay? So second thing also, I want to cancel the 5. This 5, because again, I move all numbers to the left. So I remove the negative 5 by adding 5 on both sides. So 6 minus 6 is cancelled. 5 is cancelled. So far so good. So that's what I have. Now what does it give to me right now? We need to do all calculation. What I'm gonna have? Adding all of these, I'm gonna have this will be cancelled. So all these variables will be removed. So now I'm gonna have 14 will be equal to 2y. Now again, this seems similar to something we already solved. If you say so in your mind, then yes, you're totally right, because this is the same as the second step on the equation 2. Let's go back on the example 2. 3x equals negative 2. Similar to example 1, 5x equals 60. So same thing on this one. 14 equal to 2y. So we're going to do the same, follow the same step as example 1. Divide both sides by the coefficient, which is 5. And on that example, our coefficient is 2. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. So our answer will be, let me mark, and there it be. Divide both sides by 2. So now what I'm going to have after doing the calculation, y will be equal to 7. If you do the calculation, I was just saying, if you say 7, then yes, you're totally right. Y equal to 7. That's the perfect and correct answer. Give yourself a plus if you say I want a plus if you had this as your answer. Let me make it a little bit bigger. There you go. Y equal to 7. Now, it doesn't matter which side the Y is. The Y is on the left. If I say 7 equal to Y, is the same as Y equal to 7. Again, if I write 7 equal to Y, is the same as Y equal to 7. Okay? So far, I show you 3 different examples, and the connection between these 3 examples related with the 3 simple rules. Alright, so same thing, give a quick look on that example 3. And again, don't forget, actually at the beginning to have a pen, pencil, and piece of paper so you can copy these simple examples down, and therefore you can see the connection on your own as well, how solving a linear equation is simple. And I want you by today to keep this on your mind, and therefore you'll be able to solve anytime you see linear equation, to have no worry, to be familiar and be used and good and confident about this by following these 3 simple rules that I provide to you at the beginning. Okay? Okay, so let's pass now to the 4th example. Some people are going to read that and say, oh my god, that's a long and complicated one. It's complicated, but it's not really. Alright? It's simple. We're going to follow the same rules. Okay? Now, how do I begin? Okay. We have x, 12x minus 4 minus 7x plus 2 equal to 2x minus 5 plus 4x minus 8. Now, if we read carefully, we can see that we read multi-x's on both sides. Okay, so easy thing to do. Let's just I'm gonna label it for you, so therefore it can be more easy for you to see. So I rewrite it over there. What did I do? I put everything in similar with the same color. So as you can see, I put all the x's on the blue and all the numbers on the red. So if you're on the paper, you can use some symbol. You can put a circle around the x's and put the numbers on the triangles or rectangle. But do something to make you see all similar terms on the same figure. Okay? So instead of figure, I just put this on a different color. So therefore you feel connected with me. Alright? So next one now. Now I can see, okay, 12x and negative 7x, they are related. So when I combine all the blues on the side and all the red, now my equation now become a little bit simpler right now. What has become right now? 12x minus 5x become 5x. And on the other side, I have negative 4 plus 2 become negative 2. 12x minus 7x become 5x. Negative 5 minus 8 become negative 13. Now we have 5x minus 2 equal to 6x minus 13. If you remember how we solved the example 3, I'm going to let you finish copy that. On some fraction second, I'm going to go back to the example 3 that we solved. Alright, let's go refresh our mind on example 3. When we have this on example 3, what did we do? We remove all the y's on one side and we put all numbers on the other side. So same thing we're going to do about the x's. We're going to put all the x's on one side and all the y's on the other side. So same exact rule. So you are free to decide, okay? Doesn't matter which side, but you choose your own. So for me, I'm gonna do this time one side at a time. So make sure that you don't miss any steps. So I'm removing first my I remove the x and put it there. So what's my new answer become? My new answer will be -2. -2 equal x. I just show you more details relative to the previous one. I didn't do that. But now just make sure that you don't miss the calculation. So that become -2 equal x minus 13. Okay, so my last step is add 13 on both sides. It's pretty much simple. Add 13 on both sides. And when we add 13 on both sides, what we have right now? 13 minus 2 is the other opposite side. So we have to subtract and we keep the sign of the bigger number. 13 minus 2 is 11. And the equal sign is between. And 13 minus 13 is cancelled. So that becomes x. Which means the same as, like I said before, is the same as x equal to 11. Is the same thing. Okay? I'm gonna let you read it for a few seconds, and then after that, we're gonna move to the next example. Alright, so let's go to example 5. You're gonna say, oh my gosh, how am I gonna do that? I see parentheses, now things start getting more complicated. Don't worry, it's the same thing. It's the same process. Except one thing. We didn't have parentheses before. Okay? So when you have parentheses, we have to cancel the parentheses. How do we cancel the parentheses? We multiply what is outside of the parentheses by anything inside of the parentheses when there is a minus or plus sign. And if there was no minus or plus sign, we're just going to multiply it once. What do I mean by that? Let me give you a hint under it. Alright, before I start that. Let's say it was 5y times 10y. Okay, that would be 40y squared. Is that clear? But if I have 4y and I multiply by y minus 10, my answer would be 4y squared minus 40. How do I get each of these? 4y, in that case, is multiplied once by the whole thing. Why? Because this is multiply. And if you also was divide, that will, let me use that third example. So that will be 4y squared, let me keep space so therefore I can be clear, minus 40. In that case, I multiply by each single one of them. 4y times y is 4y squared, minus 4y times negative 10 is negative 40y. Okay? Last, now if I use, let's say 4y times 10, let's say divided by y. Okay? What would that become? That would be 40y over y, which will become, let me put it under that, 40. Now, what did I do? I multiplied by everything by 4y once, which means I multiply only the top. When you have a fraction, you multiply this by the top because this is a fraction. 4y is the same as 4y over 1. I'm not going to go too much detail to that, but I'll just give you a hint by when I say you multiply by when it's subtraction or addition, you multiply by each single one of them. When it's multiplication or division, you multiply it once. Okay? So just to give you a quick hint. Alright? So I'm going to erase that because there was a parentheses that are open. Let's go back to the question. So our question is related to the second one. 4y times y minus 10, which is equal to 4y squared minus 40y. So I already give you the answer. So I'm going to let you try on your own and tell me what do you think the right side will be. 2y times negative 3 plus 2y. I give you a few seconds to try and then I'm going to copy the answer soon. Okay, here's the answer. 4y times y is 4y squared. 4y times negative 10 is negative 40y. 2y times negative 3 is negative 6y. 2y times 2y is 4y squared. And the plus 28 was just by itself, so the plus 28 still by itself. If you had this as your answer, give yourself a plus. If you didn't, don't worry, you will catch it and make sure that any mistake you made, you don't do the mistake again on any other practice. And get the lesson today. Now is the time to make your mistake. Now is also the time to fix and learn from your mistake. Okay? Alright, so as I will say, we have 4y squared, we have 4y squared. So I'm going to have to remove all the y's on one side. So let me do that one first. Let me move all the y's on one side. When I remove all the y's on one side, what's going to happen? You're going to say you're going to feel worried, oh my gosh, there's a square, so how would I solve? Because if I go back on the definition again, linear equation, on the previous one, the power of the variable has to be 1. But you're going to say, wait, the power of this variable, they are not 1, they are 2. Because we have y squared, the power is 2. But let's see if this power or the 2 powers is important or if it's something that will be considered. When I subtract 4y squared on both sides, what will happen? The 4y squared get cancelled. The 4y squared get cancelled. What does that tell me? This power was there, true, but they were not important. Sometimes you're going to face a question like that. They're going to say, solve this linear equation, and you're going to see they are square on both sides. What you have to do is to try to mix or put all of them on one side to see what's going to happen. And as we just do that right now, what happened? All the y's get cancelled. Now what do we have as answer? We're going to have, let me copy on the final line while you're doing your work. If you have the answer already, you can copy it down. I'm going to type it right now. And here's the answer. Negative 34. How do we get negative 34? Plus 6 minus 40. Again, when we subtract, the sign are different. We keep the sign of the bigger number and we subtract these two. 40 minus 6 is 34. The sign are different. So I keep the sign of the bigger one, which is negative. These two cancel. These two cancel. And the 28 is only one remaining. Okay? So now, last but not least, right now, what I'm going to do is divide both sides by the coefficient, which is the third rule. And there we go. Now, when I divide both sides by the coefficient right now, what do I have? There we go. That's the answer. Now, having negative on the top or on the bottom, does it matter? No. If we have no sign on the top, we have only negative on the bottom, it's the same as having no sign on the bottom and having negative on the top. And it's the same as having no sign on the top and on the bottom, but the sign is right here, near to the equal sign. Pardon me? Near to the equal sign. All these three means the same. Okay? So all these three are the same. So now after doing the division, now we have a last term to do is I'm gonna share both simplification right now. Because like I say, we have to simplify our answer. I'm gonna create a side, I think I'm gonna put it on this side over there. Let's see. I can put it below. I'm gonna put it below. Okay, there we go. All right, it's over there, passing from here to there. Okay, going from this side to the right. So we have y, this negative 34 cancel. So we have y is equal to negative 28 over 34. Now what do? I decompose 28 and I decompose 34. Before I say that, you remember what I said about the negative sign? Having a negative on the bottom of a fraction by itself, or having a negative on the top of the fraction by itself, or having the negative neither the bottom or the top but on the side of the fraction. All three means the same. Okay? All three means the same. So now the negatives is on the action is on the left side, not the right side, but the left side of the fraction. All three means the same. So now putting negative over there for me, it's I just feel I want to put it there, so I put it there. If you feel you want to put it on the top, that's fine. You want to put it on the bottom, that's fine. You will put it over there, that's also fine. But the better way the two most one teacher gonna mostly like to see, it's either on the middle or the top. Put on the bottom, it's okay, but it's not proper. I don't know if you get what I say. It's okay, but it's not the proper form. Okay? It's not wrong. It's okay, but it's just not the proper form. All right? Let's move forward right now. 28. Decompose 28. 28 is multiple of 2. How do I know that? Any number which is ended by a number by an even number, such as 2, 4, 6, 8, is a multiple of 2. 28, the last number is 8, so which means 28 is divisible by 2. Same for 34, it's ending by 4, so it's also divisible by 2. When I divide 28 by 2, I got 14. So I decompose 28, 2 times 14. I decompose 34, 2 times 17. So now these two become these two I can get rid of them because they are the same number, so I can cross it out. So I have 14 over 17, which is the final answer. Just quick, that example is the same as our first example. Just to show you how these at the beginning look complicated and how become simple. This is what I want to learn from today. How you can make an equation that at the beginning look complicated, transform into simple form. I want to finish copy that. Okay, so let's go on the last part. Let's the word recall. All right, let's recap or recall everything that we did today. All right, put on the side so you can see. Good. So what did we do today? What did you get from this lesson? To solve for an equation, this is what we have to do. Move all the related with the variable on one side, everything else on the other side. That's the first and foremost thing. Second, combine the variables together. Now, combine the variable together can be before you move the related on one side. You can combine the variable before you move them, but you can exchange these two. let's put this one before. Let's put the combine first, okay? Let's say we combine all variables together, and after that we move them. These two rules, they can be exchanged. We can have the same answer. Doesn't matter if you move them first or if you do your own first. Both will be the same, okay? But for me, I just feel like I want to keep it like combination first. The combination first. That's why I just feel. I just feel I want to keep the combination first. Because why I say that? Let's go back on that example. I combine them first before I remove on the other side. So that's why I want you follow the rule to not get confused between the rules and the one I apply to see that they are exactly what I'm applying. So combine the variables together on the left or the right side of the equal sign. Okay? And then you move all the related variable on one side and the one everything else on the other side. All the related with the variable we are solving for on one side and everything else on the other side. All the related with the variable we are solving for on one side, just because why we can have more than one variable on an equation. We have to make sure you move all the related with the variable we are solving for on one side and everything else on the other side. Okay? Next, divide both sides of the equality by the coefficient of the variable. Okay? Last but not least, simplify the answer, and if it's a fraction and it needs to be, simplify the answer. Okay? It's basically simplify the answer. That's basically what it is. Simplify your answer. So all everything over there you see, if it's a fraction, need to, it's just little bit details in case it's been a fraction and you need it to. So that's what it means. Mostly simplification is applying related with fraction. If you don't have fraction, there's a simplification. Okay? And the word simplification means, like an example 9, like that case over there. We divide both sides by 2. We have negative 28 over 34. We make it become negative 14 over 17. And if I go example 1, we have 60 over 5, make it become 12. Example 2, we have negative 3 over 2, say the same. Example 3, that was 14 over 2 becomes 7. And example 4, there was nothing, so you just say the same. In example 5, we have negative 28 over 34 become negative 14 over 17. So let's recap again. How do we solve for an equation, linear equation? First, we combine all the variables together. We move all the related variable we are solving for on one side, everything else on the other side. Divide both sides of the equality by the coefficient of the variable, and last but not least, simplify your answer. And if it's a fraction and it needed to be simplified. So I hope that all of you guys today, what you learned, I hope that you like my lesson, and if you like and you feel that was really helpful, I want to give me a thumb at the bottom, and that'll be helpful. And if you have any comment, any question, anything that you would like me to do, any details related to, you feel like something was not clear or specified or something was not exactly as you wanted to, any question or anything, free to ask me, free to do everything. Just give me your comment, your opinion, and your everything under the screen. Okay, and I wish, and I'll update that. I will give you answer by text message or by answer by typing or by a new video if it's needed to, or by answer typing or any way that you want me to. All right. Again, once again, my name is Elie, and it was my pleasure to present to you that topic today: how to solve for linear equation. And I hope all of you right now see how math is fun. Enjoy your day. Have a good day.